When you thought the love and hip-hop drama couldn't get any crazier, boom? Yandy and Rasheeda just went OFF on Tamar after shocking receipts about her secret affair with Mendeecees hit the internet. The betrayal, the accusations, and the explosive confrontation, this is the kind of chaos fans never saw coming. The love and hip-hop universe has always been messy, but this latest scandal, it just might be the most shocking yet. When whispers first started spreading that Tamar Braxton had been linked to Mendeecees Harris, most fans brushed it off as nothing more than internet chatter. After all, Tamar is a seasoned R&B singer with her own legacy. And Mendeecees is tied up in one of the most public marriages in the franchise with Yandy Smith. The idea that their paths could cross in a way that spelled affair seemed wild and real. But as the days went by and receipts started to surface, those whispers turned into a storm, and no one was angrier than Yandy. Yandy Smith has been through it all. From holding Mendeecees down during his prison sentence to fighting off critics, who constantly questioned her choices as a wife, a mother, and a businesswoman, Yandy has stood firm in her image as one of love and hip-hop's strongest women. But when Tamar's name got thrown into the mix, all of that strength cracked. To Yandy, this wasn't just another tabloid rumor, it was betrayal. And when the cameras caught her reaction, fans saw a side of Yandy that was anything but polished. The confrontation started at a private event where multiple cast members had gathered. Rasheeda, known for her no-nonsense attitude and long history of clashing with anyone who disrespected her circle, was right there beside Yandy. The two women had formed a bond over the years, partly because they both navigated messy relationships in the public eye and knew what it felt like to be judged. So when Tamar arrived at the event.com and collected, Yandy and Rasheeda were already waiting, ready to let her know exactly how they felt about the rumors. The energy in the room shifted instantly. Tamar walked in with her head high, but the sides, eyes, and whispers followed her every step. She was no stranger to drama. Her career has been laced with headlines, family disputes, and public feuds. But this was different. Fighties wasn't about her sisters, her music, or her reality TV appearances. This was about being accused of crossing one of love and hip-hop's strongest couples. And the women weren't about to let it slide. "You've got something you need to explain." Connie's voice cut through the chatter like a knife. The entire room froze. Cameras zoomed in. Cast members whispered to each other. Phones went up to record and everyone braced for the storm. Tamar, never one to back down from confrontation, crossed her arms and met Yandy's glare. "I don't know what you think you heard, but don't play with me like that," she shot back. That's when Rasheeda jumped in. "Nah, see? That's the problem right there. Too many women out here think they can play around with somebody else's man and then act like it's cute. You've crossed the line, Tamar. Period." Gasps rippled across the room. Tamar rolled her eyes, clearly irritated. "Cross the line, girl, please. I don't need nobody's man. I got my own life, my own career. Don't come at me with some gossip like it's facts." But Yandy wasn't buying it. Her anger wasn't just about what Tamar did or didn't do, was about how it made her look. For years, Yandy had dealt with speculation about Mendeecees and his loyalty. She had defended him relentlessly, even when the receipts weren't in her favor. So for Tamar's name to get linked with him felt like a slap in the face. It wasn't just another rumor, which another crack in the image she worked so hard to maintain. "You know what hurts the most?" Yandy said, her voice trembling with both rage and pain. "I sat here defending my family over and over again, and then your name came up. Somebody I never even thought I'd have to worry about. That's dirty, Tamar. Really dirty." The cameras caught Tamar's face hardened. She wasn't about to cry or fold under pressure. If anything, Yandy's accusations made her more defensive. "First of all," Tamar snapped, "don't put your man's dirt on me. If you have issues with him, take that up with him. Don't try to use me as your scapegoat." I didn't start those rumors, and I damn sure didn't sleep with your husband. That's when Rasheeda leaned in, her voice sharp. Do you think we dumb? We've seen the receipts, Tamar. Messages don't lie. You can deny it all you want. But women like you always slip up. And when you do, don't be surprised when it all blows up in your face. The tension was unbearable. Producers were scrambling behind the cameras, unsure whether to intervene or let the drama play out. Other cast members tried to defuse the situation. But no one dared step in too close because everyone knew this moment was going to be explosive. Yandy and Rasheeda weren't just attacking Tamar for the affair rumors. They were sending a message. Loyalty mattered, and anyone who disrespected that loyalty was going to feel their wrath. Tamar, however, wasn't about to fold. She doubled down, insisting that the entire situation was fabricated. A twisted storyline meant to pit women against each other for ratings. This whole thing is a setup, Tamar said, pointing at the cameras. You think I don't see what's going on? They want to drag me, make me the villain, and y'all falling right into it? I don't owe y'all nothing, and I'm not about to beg nobody to believe me. But Yandy wasn't letting up. You owe me respect, she fired back. You owe my family respect? And if you don't know how to give that, then you better stay far away from me, from my kids, and from my husband. The room erupted in chaos. Shouting, finger-pointing producers stepping in to pull the women apart was pure madness. Stormed out, Rasheeda was still shouting as security held her back. And Yandy was left pacing in anger, tears threatening to spill from her eyes. For viewers, this wasn't just another fight, was the beginning of a war. Tamar wasn't going to let her name be dragged without a fight. Yandy wasn't going to let anyone make her look like a fool. And Rasheeda, always ready to defend her people, had made it clear that she was ready to ride until the wheels fell. By the end of the night, social media was already buzzing. Clips of the confrontation leaked, and fans couldn't believe what they had just witnessed. Some sided with Tamar, saying Yandy was overreacting and projecting her marital issues onto someone else. Others sided with Yandy and Rasheeda, saying Tamar had crossed a line and needed to be held accountable. But one thing was for sure. This was only the beginning. As the fallout from the shocking revelation spread like wildfire, the tension only intensified behind the scenes of love and hip-hop. Tamar's name was buzzing in every circle, blogs, fan pages, and group chats. The whispers turned into full-blown debates. How could Tamar, who always branded herself as someone above the petty drama, get caught up in something this reckless? And more importantly, why with Mendeecees, who had already fought tooth and nail to rebuild his image after his prison stint? Yandy's rage only grew deeper as she watched people online question whether the story was even true. To her, there was nothing to doubt. The messages and calls that surfaced were too raw, too real. And the more Tamar stayed silent, the guiltier she looked. Yandy took to social media live, pacing around her living room as her voice shook with both fury and disappointment. Let me tell y'all something, she began, her tone cutting through the noise. When somebody comes into my circle and pretends to be a sister, a friend, and then turns around and does the most disrespectful thing you could ever imagine, you don't get a pass. Tamar, you knew better. UKNEW better. And still, you crossed that line. The comment section exploded. Some fans clapped for Yandy, calling her a queen for standing up for herself and her marriage. Others accused her of dragging Tamar publicly when she should have handled it privately. But Yandy wasn't in the mood for diplomacy. This wasn't just about betrayal, it was about humiliation. Meanwhile, Rasheeda, who had remained quiet during the initial storm, decided it was time to speak. Known for her own battles with infidelity in her marriage to Kirk, Rasheeda's stance carried weight. She posted a cryptic Instagram story first, writing, "When you've lived through betrayal, you don't let it slide when it comes for your sisters." Within hours, she went live with Yandy, doubling down on the attack. "See, here's the problem," Rasheeda said, her voice steady but sharp. "We've all been through enough. We've all had to rebuild ourselves in the public. I, after men tried to play us. So for asterisk. Tamar, a woman who knows the pain of being dragged to turn around and cause that same pain for somebody else. That's beyond foul. That's dirty. Yandy nodded furiously beside her, chiming in, and don't try to play the victim now, Tamar. Because this time, you are the one that caused this mess. This tag team call-out was like pouring gasoline on an already raging fire. Tamar's fans rushed to her defense, flooding the comments with messages of support, insisting that nothing had been proven and that Yandy was just chasing clout. But Yandy and Rasheeda weren't backing down. They made it clear that Tamar had crossed a line that could never be uncrossed at. Behind the cameras, things got even messier. Reports began to leak that production had tried to step in, warning all the women that this storyline was spiraling out of control. Executives worried that Tamar might walk off the show entirely, taking her fan base with her. But Yandy refused to let the producers silence her, claiming that if they wanted real reality TV, they couldn't censor the truth. The tension finally came to a head during a cast meet. Cameras rolled as Tamar walked into the room with her head high, trying to project confidence. But the second Yandy spotted her, all composure went out the window. So you're just gonna stroll in here like you ain't do nothing? Like you ain't? Out here embarrassing families. Hundy snapped across the table, her hands slamming down as the room went quiet. Tamar's eyes narrowed. But she kept her voice calm at first. You need to stop believing every little rumor people throw your way. Don't put your insecurities on me, sweetheart. That single word, sweetheart, was all it took to set Rasheeda off. She leaned forward, her southern twang cutting sharper than ever. Nah, Tamar, don't play that game. Do you know damn well what you did? We've seen the messages, we've seen the calls. Stop acting brand new. The room erupted into chaos. Cast members jumped in, trying to hold Yandy back as she lunged across the table, while Tamar stood her ground, yelling back that she would never stoop so low. You don't have nitrogen monoxide proof. Y'all just mad because I don't kiss you. Tamar shouted, her voice trembling between anger and desperation. Producers quickly cut the scene, fearing it would escalate into a full-blown brawl. But the damage was already done. The feud had become the hottest storyline of the season. Blogs ran headlines like Love and Hip Hop Civil War, Yandy and Rasheeda versus Tamar. And fans couldn't stop dissecting every clip, every caption, and every cryptic post off camera. Mendeecees found himself in the hot seat. His phone was blowing up with questions from friends, family, and even business partners who were concerned about his image. He went live himself, trying to clear the air. Listen, man, might tell y'all straight up I ain't messing with Tamar. That's not even in my character anymore. I got too much to lose, he insisted, his tone serious. But the problem was, people weren't sure whether to believe him. Too many scandals in the past had already tainted his credibility. And Tamar's silence wasn't helping Yandy, however. Refused to buy his defense. Nothing happened? Then why is your phone full of calls and messages with her name on it? She asked during another live show. Explain that. As the feud dragged on, the lines became clear. Fans were forced to pick a side. Team Yandy and Rasheeda, who framed the situation as a sisterhood betrayal, or Team Tamar, who argued she was being unfairly dragged without hard evidence. The stakes weren't just personal anymore. They were threatening to split the entire cast and even the fan base of the show. For Tamar, every day of silence felt like another nail in her coffin. For Yandy and Rasheeda, every post and every call-out felt like vindication. The battle lines were drawn and there was no turning back. The tension had reached a boiling point. And by now, the entire love and hip-hop universe was split right down. The middle, every gossip blog, every entertainment outlet, and every fan podcast had an opinion. Tamar's name trended daily, often paired with the words betrayal, affair, and sisters turned enemies. And while Tamar kept trying to stay silent and composed, though silence was now being interpreted as guilt. Rasheeda and Yandy weren't letting up. They hit every platform they could, interviews, even sit-down confessionals for the show, painting Tamar as someone who broke the ultimate code of sisterhood. Rasheeda, who had weathered her own storm when Kirk's infidelity nearly ended her marriage, became especially vocal. In one confessional scene, she said bluntly, "When you've been hurt the way I've been hurt, when you've been embarrassed, in front of the whole world, you don't play with other women's families." Tamar knows the pain of betrayal, so for her to turn around and do that to Yandy, nah, that's not just messy, that's evil. The narrative started solidifying. Fans began calling Tamar the villain of the season, and hashtags like #Team Yandy and #RASHEEDA was dominated Twitter. But Tamar wasn't one to back down forever. Finally, she broke her silence in a dramatic Instagram post. She shared a black and white selfie, looking straight into the camera with tears in her eyes, captioned, "When people can't touch your spirit, they try to destroy your name. I've been through too much to let lies define me. The truth will always come to the light." The post instantly went viral, drawing in both support and backlash. Her fans flooded the comments with encouragement. "Stay strong, Queen. We got your back. Don't let them break you." But critics weren't convinced. Many demanded receipts the very next day. Yandy responded with a cryptic post of her own. "Funny how the guilty always want to play victim. Don't cry now. You weren't crying when you were making those calls." This back and forth wasn't just fueling the feud, it was fueling the ratings. Producers leaned in, setting up a highly anticipated sit-down between the three women. Fans knew this would be the moment where everything either exploded or finally came to light. The sit-down was tense from the start. Tamar walked in wearing a sleek all-black outfit, her face unreadable. Yandy sat with her arms folded, while Rasheeda leaned forward with her jaw clenched, clearly ready for war. The cameras rolled, and the silence was so thick you could hear the crew's footsteps in the background. Yandy was the first to speak. "Tamar, I need you to look me in my face and tell me you ain't call my man at 2 a.m. I need you to say it right now." Tamar sighed, her voice calm but firm. "I'm not gonna sit here and admit to something that didn't happen. Yes, I talked to Mendeecees. Yes, we had conversations. But it wasn't no affair. It wasn't no betrayal. Stop twisting it into something it wasn't." That's when Rasheeda snapped. She slammed her hand on the table, her voice rising. "Conversations at 2 a.m. with another woman's husband is betrayal, Tamar. Stop playing games with words. You knew exactly what you were doing." Tamar shot back instantly, her own voice shaking with frustration. "So what? I can't be friends with a married man? Y'all really that insecure? Your man stepped out? That's on him, not me. Don't make me the scapegoat for your marriage problems." The room erupted. Yandy leaped to her feet, pointing directly at Tamar. "Don't you dare put this on me. Don't you dare act like you didn't know what those late-night calls were leading to. You broke the code, Tamar. You broke the code of respect, of loyalty, of sisterhood." Producers rushed in to calm the situation, but the damage was clear. The argument wasn't about evidence anymore. It was about perception, about loyalty, about lines you just don't cross. even without solid proof of a physical affair. The emotional betrayal was undeniable to Yandy and Rasheeda. After the sit-down aired, the internet exploded. Clips of the argument went viral, gaining millions of views. Memes flooded timelines. Tamar was mocked for saying friends can talk at 2 a.m., while Yandy's furious line, "You broke the code," became an instant catchphrase. But the fallout wasn't just memes and tweets. Tamar began losing brand deals as sponsors quietly distanced themselves from the drama. Concert promoters reportedly grew hesitant about booking her for events, fearing the backlash. Meanwhile, Yandy and Rasheeda found themselves praised as the voices of sisterhood, their follower counts skyrocketing. The public pressure became too much for Tamar. She posted a tearful livestream one night, admitting how much the situation had broken her down. "Y'all don't understand what it feels like to have your name dragged every single day. I didn't sleep with that man, I didn't. But no matter what I say, nobody believes me. And that hurts." Even as she cried, Yandy responded almost immediately with yet another post. "If it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck." Well, y'all know the rest. The feud had transformed from a messy rumor into a cultural moment, one that divided. Fans tested friendships and solidified Yandy and Rasheeda's bond stronger than ever. For Tamar, it was a reminder that in the world of reality TV, perception is often more powerful than the truth. By the time the reunion episode came around, the stage was set for the most explosive confrontation yet. Chairs were arranged, cameras pointed, and the audience waited in anticipation. Tamar sat on one side, looking drained but defiant. Yandy and Rasheeda sat on the other, united, ready to take one last swing. The host wasted no time, asking the question everyone wanted to know. "Tamar, did you or did you not have an inappropriate relationship with Mendeecees?" The crowd hushed, waiting for her response. Tamar looked around the room, then straight into the camera. She paused, her lips trembling before finally saying, "Believe what you want. I know my truth. And one day, everybody else will too." The audience gasped. It wasn't an admission, but it wasn't a denial either. And with that, the reunion ended, leaving fans more divided than ever. The storyline would go down as one of the most shocking in love and hip-hop history, proof that, in this world, drama is never just drama. It's betrayal, loyalty, and reputations on the line. And when Yandy and Rasheeda went savage, Tamar found out the hard way. No one walks away unscathed.